Right, let's have a look here. Alright, so we got a little mini live stream going, and it'll start up in a few seconds. I'm going to just dive in, okay, if you don't mind. Greetings, this is just going to be short and sweet. This is a daily transit. It is Tuesday the 7th of June here in Las Vegas, 2022 Pacific Standard Time. I'm just going to do a little daily transit in a minute, but before I go there, this information was passed on to me. It's absolutely shocking, and I don't want to get into trouble, so I'm not going to do too much. But I just wanted to show you this. Guess what this is? It's a list. It's a very long list of all the so-called food catastrophes and fires and train crashes and everything to do with food and utilities and farming. Okay, it's in every state. Look at this. Okay, it's a lot more. There's just a whole freaking ton of it. I'm not sure where we begin, frankly, but it's all about exploding wheat silos, train crashes where they lose the fertilizer, and chicken farms, chicken ranches, cow farms, everything just suddenly, spontaneously blowing up, disappearing, So, is it all just an accident? Makes you wonder, doesn't it? I don't know about you folks, but I'm starting to smell something very, very fishy. And it's happening to the whole planet, but it's very, very smelly here in the United States. I'm just going to do a quick astrodoodle. I actually made a live astrodoodle for the daily transit much earlier today, but I discovered that the signal was junk and it didn't record properly, so it was a huge waste of time and energy. So I'm basically trying to recapture it all here as quickly as I can, just to get it out there, and then we can all move on with our day. I've disabled the chat because I'm not going to spend time or energy there right now. We can do that on Sundays perhaps, but for today, right now, I just wanted to get on with it, okay? So it's the 7th of June, 2022, and it's Pacific Standard Time, USA. This is a Terra Lumination astrodoodle, and I'll start filling in the blanks. You know about this stuff. I've done this quite a few times now, and I'm sure there's more efficient technical computer ways to do this stuff, but I'm sort of a hands-on person. I'm kind of an artist, writer, musician by nature, and so this feels natural to me. Almost everything we do these days involves technical interfaces with art, music, and writing. And in all cases, art, music, and writing, I found that the technical interfaces are incredibly hard for me to manage and understand. So I typically have to work with someone who is, let's say, way more fluent than me. I'm managing so far on the channel because I've been doing it for 4.5 years. A-R-I-U-S. I can't talk and write at the same time, sorry. And Pisces. So let me fill in the blanks as usual. Don't be scared, okay? We've done this many times before. Here is Pluto. Pluto is retrograde. Here is Saturn. Saturn is retrograde. Here is Neptune. Neptune is direct. Here's Jupiter. Here's Mars. They're more or less conjunct. That is a scary thing happening. And here's dear Chiron, where there is so much pain. And we have Venus, Uranus, North Node, and Mercury. So Venus, Uranus, North Node, and Mercury, all piled up there in Taurus, okay? Well, you'll see more what I'm talking about when I put some color on here and explain it all. There's the sun, full blast, 15 degrees Gemini, roughly. And the moon is all the way over here in Virgo now, heading to the full moon in a few days, and going through Scorpio in the meantime. So, just as a heads up, we'll come to that soon, but we're going to have the Libra opposing Aries energy. Combustible. We're going to have the Scorpio opposing Taurus energy. Squaring with the Saturn. More combustible. Tricky stuff. Okay, let me just get on with this. I'm not putting any of the, asteroids and fixed stars, as they call them. And there are some really super high-powered astrologers who can do all that for you. I just stick to the basic planets, and because they are, let's say, more understandable to me because they're so much closer than the stars and most of the asteroids. And so these all have in their own gravitational fields. As you know, each planet lives in a gravitational field, spinning around the sun at the center of our solar system. And the planets basically spin around a very, very flat plane, sort of like, it looks like the rings of Saturn, because that's how gravity lined everything up. It's just pure gravity, pure physics. Each one of these planets has its own exact gravitational field in relation to Earth and in relation to each other, okay? And that's how we feel it here on Earth, like this ever-changing, like jellyfish fluid movement of energy. And of course, NASA and all the space missions and satellites and the Elon Musk crowds and the military and all that, they know all this information from their ephemeris, and they get it down to super precision accuracy, so they can send off their missiles and spacecraft and explorers up into the solar system without crashing. Well, sometimes they eventually crash on as planned, but the idea, for example, Jupiter. Here's Jupiter. Jupiter's by far the biggest so-called planet in our solar system, and it has a huge gravitational field. So sometimes that's used very effectively by the NASA space people, okay? But anyway, it's all about gravity. It's pure physics. So if people want to think this is some kind of weird, I don't know, what do you want to call it? I don't know, mythology. Well, it has mythology, but it's basically a bunch of physics and science. I'm going to put in the sweet stuff. We've got some Earth harmony over here. Okay, remember, this is very fleeting energy because the moon moves very quickly compared to the rest. We have some Earth harmony over here. Again, I give myself a lot of permission to use the whole sign, the whole house, all 30 degrees. So this is kind of loose and fuzzy, all right? And we have some great opportunity here with the sextiles between Capricorn, Pisces, Taurus, okay? So that is, really quite harmonious. You could almost say it's not exact, but I'm just going to, for fun and for a confidence booster, I'm going to add a little bit of green there to make it look like a kite. So, which is, kind of a fortuitous, harmonious aspect that we can all enjoy. The main issues we're dealing with, again, are, like we've said many times, it's going to be going on for a while, is this big cluster over here in Taurus. And on a global scale, these are not personal readings, this is just my sort of global weather map outlook. We've got this big cluster in here of Taurus energy, and it's all about money, and you'll see in a minute. So there's something very solid and stabilizing here going on. In other words, it's not the end of the world yet, okay? And the world is still going, but we have, you've probably noticed that the global financial system is extremely unstable right now and very, very unhealthy. And let's just do it, okay? How am I going to do this? Give me a second. I want to make sure I've got this kind of where I want it to be, so I don't like end up having to make, regrettably having to make some corrections. Because there's several things that I'm concerned about. Number one is, of course, this. To me, it's a big fat T-square. It's a loose one, but it is a big fat T-square. Okay? Big fat T-square, okay? Sorry about the smudge. And we also, of course, have the opposition here to the center of the kite. But we also got this major opposition with Saturn. Okay? Now, the way I do astrology, what this means to me is that we're dealing with the long-term, ongoing financial crisis across the world, where basically the status quo is shaking and crumbling under intense pressure while it tries to stabilize itself, because I see this energy here is the shadow expression of the pyramid of power, the elites of the elites of the elites at the very, very top of the pyramid of power. I'm not going to call their names or their groups or their societies. We've used them many times before. And they are notoriously mischievous. Excuse me, there's a phone going up. I should have put this on, airplane mode. Sorry. I'm just going to have to let it ring out. Okay, it's one of my doctor people. Excuse me. I can get back to them. Okay, so we have this sort of very loose green earth trine here. So that's kind of comforting and stabilizing for the truth about Earth, the things that are tangible and real and solid and trustworthy, like plants, animals, rocks, oceans, rivers. Okay, nature is very, very, very good for us. We all need to be in nature as much as possible right now. Earth, 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 earth. Very stabilizing, considering we have this extreme instability here. This alone is highly unstable here, with Uranus in Taurus at almost 15 degrees. Taurus being one of the money signs, okay, along with Scorpio. And Venus being one of the rulers of money, also in Taurus here. Venus rules Taurus and so on. We've got the North Node in Taurus basically saying we need to get our global finances in order for real. And Mercury is in Taurus, so it's about global finance, global transactions, the markets, all of that stuff that they call it. So some of you are aware that we're experiencing what is called extreme inflation all across the world. And that means people are spending more and more money to get less and less stuff. And you can thank these folks, okay? Okay? They work very closely with these folks. And these folks work very closely with these folks. And they all work with these folks. And also you can add in the other folks here. And so on, and then there's plenty more, but I don't want to dwell on that too much. They're trying to create a so-called unified global order, new world order, okay? And it has an extremely dark energy associated with it, and we are all being affected and contaminated and controlled and manipulated in such a way that pretty much everyone on Earth is feeling it. Right now, in the most immediate sense, we've got Jupiter more or less conjoined Mars, and as predicted months ago, we would see an extreme explosion of violence all across the Earth. Above and beyond what's happening in the Eastern Europe with that big war going on there. And we're seeing it in America. Dozens and dozens and dozens of they call it mass shootings, okay? What it is murder. There are people going out and murdering other people. People murder people. Okay, guns don't murder people. People murder people. The gun is just an inert object, which is a tool. And almost all the guns and shootings in America, the vast bulk are in self-defense. I got that statistic from a reliable source. Anyway, it's very sad and painful because Chiron is feeling it here in air. It's a very slow energy. It's about the deep wound of the sovereign self. Every person on a planet Earth, apart from perhaps the people at the very pinnacle, are experiencing the deep wound of the absence and the lack of sovereign self, because debt is everywhere. Pretty much the whole of planet Earth is in debt to itself and each other. Debt is like a crippling disease that is now spread and contaminated the whole of planet Earth, primarily, let's say, initiated from here, and these folks over here, and some of the elites over here, and so on. And it's very, very painful. But the game is absolutely beautifully played, because we are trained and conditioned and raised to be debt cows on a debt farm. In this place over here, okay, they're basically debt cows in a debt farm that's maintained under the umbrella of a slave camp. So it all kind of adds up. It's very scary stuff. But what's happening is enough people on Earth are starting to realize there's something really, really, really wrong here. And a lot of people feel it in their pocket, like, gasoline prices going absolutely berserk. Global food sabotage, food supply chain sabotage, things like that. It all adds up. So with this aspect here, I'm looking at the moon in Virgo opposing Neptune and Pisces. So I see this as an angle that's very much to do with disease and sickness and health. It indicates the extreme sickness that we have on Earth right now, and what are we going to do? What tasks can we do to try and heal ourselves by loving ourselves? It's just work, it's tasks, and there's enough people questioning. There's enough extremely high quality, trustworthy doctors and medics and organizations who are now standing up to the shadow people here, declaring that there's something extremely fraudulent, illegal, and perverted and murderous about the activities of the people at the very top. And we need to address this now. Saturn is retrograde in Aquarius. Saturn is testing humanity, like, okay, people, we're obviously very aware that something's very wrong. Saturn's in Aquarius for humanity. There's something very wrong for what's happening with we the people. Okay, so what are we going to do about it? It's very hard to fix something unless you know what the problem is. You've got to reveal it to heal it. And that's what's happening right now. There's a lot of revealing occurring as the depth of squalor and depravity of the, let's say, the status quo is being exposed. So now it's up to us. What are we going to do about it? I belong to a kind of a certain crowd, a certain type of group of people. I feel like I have a pretty decent awareness of what's going on here. I'm trying to share it with you. I also live in a place where I'm starting to learn about people who not only don't understand this, they are in denial of this stuff. In fact, they completely reject it as something ludicrous, and they're walking around collecting as many injections as they can and proudly displaying the status of their bugs on their profiles and portfolios and whatever they do. And in the meantime, there are, for example, I just had another clip sent to me from somebody very trustworthy about how in the United Kingdom right now there's a class action lawsuit that's going ahead. It's full steam ahead, where what's happening is that there are allowances now where individuals who've died as a result of what those people are doing, what these folks are doing, people who died because of, the bug, but mostly in particular as a result of these injections, there's so much proof coming out. It can't be denied anymore. Of course, there are going to be deniers, and it'll be fought in a courtroom. But basically, the process is already set up in the courts, where if it is proven that someone is a direct victim of the they can collect a flat reward of 140,000 British pounds, which is about, I don't know, close to 175,000 US dollars. There you go. Can you imagine if all the American people who were injured or died from that thing, this thing, we got those awards? I'd be filthy rich. All right, anyway. So this energy is going to change soon, but this big red fat loose grand T-square is an indication that there's something very, very, very wrong with the way the world is communicating to itself and each other. It's very, very, very sick, and what are we going to do about it? Okay? What are the tasks? So what's happening? There's like these grassroots movements, like in the kind of, let's say, element of society where I feel like I belong, where they are challenging the status quo very aggressively in the courts now and starting to prove that the fraud is fraud. Okay? You have to understand, these folks are trying to institute something where these folks here become like an all-powerful, tyrannical, let's say, overriding administration that can essentially control the world population. It's called medical tyranny. Okay, so I'm just trying to put this information out there without making it too specific, or without scaring people or getting shut down and things like that. So please be aware. We are on call. We are on alert. This is the energy of opposition here. It's very, very apparent that we are very, very sick as a species, as planet Earth, as a country. This place here is very, very sick. It's the equivalent of having metastatic cancer that started appearing about 60 years ago, and now it has gone everywhere in here, and it's also spreading out over here, 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 and here. And that's a direct result of the behavior or the misbehavior of these folks. Some of you know that. Anyway, everything is exactly as it should be. Why is that so? How is it so? Because it can't be any other way. It's just pure physics. So the question is, what are you going to do about it? What are we going to do about it? What now? What now? What now? So think about that. I hope that helps you to clarify your understandings and make better decisions about where you want your life to go and how you want to live your life, and be as healthy as possible in effectively very adverse conditions. Okay? So blessings to all of you. People, if you want, by the way, you can make donations. I love donations. I need donations. You can do the PayPal. You can go over here. You can go to terralumination.com, press the donate button, and so on. And there we are over here. I'll just wrap it up. Take care, everybody. It's been great. Thank you very much. I'm just going to wrap up. I'm going to press the stop button. Bye-bye.